What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB, and more specifically, an episode of Let's Talk Dynasty. We're here again this Saturday, as we are every Saturday, for another Dynasty trade review show. Hopefully you guys are excited. Hopefully you got your trade submitted into our free Discord, because that's where all of these trades are pulled from. We pull them every week, so if you're not in there, make sure you go get in there. But let's not waste any more time. Let's start talking about some Dynasty trades. Let's get MFGDs into the building. War, how we feeling today?
We doing all right, man. We doing all right. We ready to get these trades kicked off.
Hell yeah, man. I feel like since our last trade show, we've had a little bit of news. We've had a little bit of news in the NFL space. So maybe some of these rooms have changed, but we'll see what happens here in today's episode. But I have the first trade pulled up, loaded onto the screen. Submission from Bladner. 12 team super flex, 6-point passing touchdown, full PPR, no tight end premium, and start 9. He says he needs a running back, so what he does is he tiers down from Patrick Mahomes. He gets Caleb Williams and Derrick Henry. Obviously the tier down being from Mahomes to Williams, but is Derrick Henry enough for the tier down, or how are you feeling about this?
How am I feeling about it? All right, I'm gonna take my Bears goggles off. Obviously, I would want Patrick Mahomes over Caleb Williams, even though I can make the argument that the production could be similar. But tell me if you feel like this. Do you think, and I've been having this feeling lately, I feel like we're going to get, and I don't know if it'll be this season, next season, we're not done seeing the end of like those monster Patrick Mahomes seasons. I think everybody's starting to get used to like baseline Patrick Mahomes where he's just going to dink and dunk and, not put up those gaudy fantasy numbers. But I just got a gut feeling that we're going to see some of those big years coming. It very well could be this year with guys like Rashee Rice, guys like Xavier Worthy, like all those weapons at his disposal at once. And then it's also the factor of like how will the offense change once Travis Kelce isn't there? Are they going to be more of a deep ball kind of team? So I think that's something to really think about when people are trading away and tearing down on Patrick Mahomes. But as far as this trade, honestly, Derrick Henry is still to this day, he's a monster in every affect when considering his age. But honestly, it would have been better if I would have took a younger, less productive product over Derrick Henry in his deal if that was an option. So I will say this trade is probably closer to even, but I'll give a very slight edge to the Patrick Mahomes side.
Yeah, I agree with you on a few of the points there that you made. The first one about Patrick Mahomes and, there being this possible resurgence and bounce back kind of to higher end production from him. I do believe that is something that is going to happen. A few spots where I've been able to in my own dynasty leagues, I've been trying to buy the small dip that is out there on Patrick Mahomes. I did do it in one or two of my leagues this offseason already. I hear the argument as well. Patrick Mahomes and Caleb Williams, if Mahomes doesn't get that bounce back, and if Caleb Williams does, take that little step forward that we think he can do here with Ben Johnson, and that's just saying maybe it's a little step forward. If it is a large step forward with Ben Johnson, you could say that both of these guys are going to produce pretty similar numbers, and you get Derrick Henry for free. So I could definitely see that part of the argument. And then the last part of it as well is I do think from a market standpoint, you probably could have got a little bit of a, I don't want to say better running back, because obviously Derrick Henry is probably going to be one of the best running backs that you can play in your lineup here this year, but something that gives you a little bit more stability long term, something that gives you a little bit more length, because it feels like right now, you say you need a running back. This feels like, when you, I don't know if you guys ever did this or if you ever did this, War, but when you were a kid, me and my brothers, we used to ride bikes all the time. So like if you would pop your tire, they had these little patches that you could put over the tire just to temporarily fix it before you went and got a new inner tube. It feels like you're putting the patch over the tire with Derrick Henry, because a year or two from now, you're going to need a running back again, because Derrick Henry's going to be, too old at that point. So it feels like you're just patching it and not fixing it, which is the one thing that I would say I don't really like about this. But I hear the argument, man. Caleb Williams could outproduce Patrick Mahomes, but I do believe that Patrick Mahomes has that little bounce back here in 2025. And I do think that there is going to be some better years ahead. And plus, we've talked about it before, a lot of stability and just locked in value that comes with having Patrick Mahomes, where it's like he's not going to be an asset that really depreciates decades until Patrick Mahomes decides he's done playing football. Like, he would have to have 4 or 5 or 6 really bad years in a row for people to be like, I don't believe in Patrick Mahomes anymore. People are always going to believe in Patrick Mahomes. Caleb Williams, if he has one bad year, people might say, hey, this is wraps.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially with just how people view Dynasty, how people view young players in general. Like, there's not really a long leash with fans. Like, if a guy, once again, for the 1000th time, Caleb Williams didn't even have a bad season last season yet. Some people will believe that he's a bust. So,
Yep, I agree. But yeah, I think it's a fair deal. I just feel like this is more of a temporary fix at the running back position than it was anything. I would have liked to see it be a little bit more long-term, but you can't really be long-term at the running back position. Let's go to the second trade here. 12-team super flex, full PPR, tight end premium, start 11, and we have a contending roster. The contending roster is trading Brandon Aiyuk away and a 26 first round pick. But what they get is Patrick Mahomes' teammate, Rashee Rice. It's funny because both of these players are recovering from injuries. Obviously, Rice had the knee injury last year, and Brandon Aiyuk had the torn ACL. It seems a little bit like Rashee Rice has been getting some positive news. Brandon Aiyuk seems like it's been neutral for the most part. But what do you think about Aiyuk plus a first for Rice in a contending window?
This trade is probably fair. I'm high on Rashee Rice. Like, I've been trying to get Rashee Rice. I already have a few shares of him. And I don't have a preference for either side in this deal. Me personally, I want Rashee Rice on team. You already know how I feel about Brandon Aiyuk, but the first round pick kind of just makes all the difference. I think we've even had some talks like off camera about trades involving Rashee Rice, and I know that you would probably lean the Rashee Rice side in this because I just know you're standing on Rashee Rice. But I guess I prefer Rashee Rice. Everything I'm saying is leading up to me prefer Rashee Rice. It just looks like it doesn't look like a bad deal. It doesn't, even though I'm not that high on Aiyuk. It doesn't look like a bad deal. It's an even trade to me. And if I had to pick a side, I would still pick the Rashee Rice side.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a fair deal. Contending, I do think Rashee Rice outproduces Brandon Aiyuk this year. So if you're looking at this year, I think that's the guy who's going to have more production. Rashee Rice is the younger asset as well. So I think that's why that first round pick has to be thrown into this deal, because you're getting a younger asset that is going to outproduce Aiyuk this year as well. The story for Aiyuk is kind of unfortunate, man, because I was kind of a big Aiyuk fan and a big Aiyuk guy. I had him on a lot of my rosters last year. He was actually my number one most rostered player across all of my leagues. And it was this really big 2023 season for Aiyuk that felt like he ascended into that upper echelon of like wide receiver talent. The problem is, and I think the reason why we're struggling with his dynasty value at the moment, is that happened, towards the later half of his 20s, which is going to be his prime, right? So you have that 2024 injury. He's 27 years old, lost season or something like that, right? So now he's 28. Going to recover. We always assume that the first year back from the injury isn't, getting to 100% yet. It's still kind of just getting the feet wet. So it's kind of to this point now where it's like the later half of Brandon Aiyuk's prime, I'm dealing with an injury and then a recovery year, and then he's going to be 29, 30 years old, and his value's shot at that point because people don't want to buy 30-year-old wide receivers. So it's very unfortunate. I think the value for Aiyuk isn't going to ever bounce back to where it was at that point in time last year, and that's not to the fault of Brandon Aiyuk. I think if Brandon Aiyuk was healthy, he could have been fine. I know he was, had a slow start to the year, but also guys like Ladd McConkey had slow starts to the year. Guys like everybody, right? Everybody can have a little bit of a slow start, and then all it takes is 6 weeks of production where you get lit on fire, and all of a sudden you're a top 15 wide receiver in fantasy. So I wasn't too worried about him. At the end of the day, though, it does feel like that value is never going to bounce back. A 26 first on a contending team, it does look like or seem like maybe you're throwing your first round pick, so we are going to project that as probably late if you're contending. A late first and Aiyuk for Rice, give me Rice. I'll take him. Feels like the value just has a higher floor long term, and I feel like I can get better production right now.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that. You made some very good points on where Aiyuk is in terms of his timeline, and how his value will look by time he actually possibly gets up to speed, and then he's in that Amari Cooper territory, Keenan Allen territory, where it's like, okay, even if you are a little productive, I mean, your age and just, and then unfortunately for Aiyuk too, we had that slow start before he got injured. So you kind of just don't know what you're getting with Brandon Aiyuk right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens. I still have him on a few teams. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully Aiyuk can bounce back because I'm a fan of his. Let's go to this next trade though. 12 team super flex, full PPR, tight end premium. They have a quarter point per first down and start 10. This is a rebuilding roster. We got lots of young guys and picks in here. The team that is rebuilding is getting TreVeyon Henderson. They're giving away Matthew Golden and a 2026 second round pick. Rebuilding roster, you have that caveat in there of the quarter point per first down. How do you feel about this, War?
Get ready to put this aside for Dynasty receipts. Get ready. Mark your calendar. I take the TreVeyon Henderson side, which is controversial because, as you know, I value receivers more than running back. I know a lot of people in the Dynasty community, and, go ahead, get in the comment section, say, that MFGDs, he sucks. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This will be my wrong take of the week. This will be my wrong take of the week. I think Matthew Golden's just a guy. I think he's just a guy. I think he's another cog in the Green Bay Packers offense who's going to be out there. You're not going to be able to consistently rely on him because one week it'll be Romeo Doubs, next week it'll be Jayden Reed, then next week it'll be Matthew Golden or whatever other no-name wide receiver the Packers choose to deploy onto the football field. And, when I look at it in that context, you're comparing him in a second. Let's not forget the second. You compare him in a second to a guy, honestly, that I think is going to set the world on fire in that backfield. Yeah, I think Stevenson, I think he'll still get some burn here and there, but Henderson will be the guy in that backfield. Henderson's going to be the guy that puts up the numbers. I think he's one of 3 running backs this upcoming season that has a chance to be a league winner, along with Quinshon Judkins and along with Omarion Hampton, which even I would say that Henderson has a better shot at doing it than Hampton. And RJ Harvey. So it's a few guys that could do it, but I think Henderson has one of the best shots because I think that he's personally tethered to the new regime, maybe him, Kyle Williams, Drake May. He's going to be looked upon as the future of that franchise. Stevenson, he's a holdover. He's a holdover. So I think Henderson will get every chance imaginable to go out there and be the lead back and set the world on fire. And I think that'll ultimately be way more valuable than a receiver that might be just another guy for the Green Bay Packers offense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't entirely disagree with you. I would go the Henderson side as well. He is a player that I valued in this upcoming draft class, I guess in this previous draft class now, as a guy who I thought was a difference maker. Like, there was very few players that I would categorize as difference makers for fantasy football teams. TreVeyon Henderson was one of them. What are we laughing for?
Yeah, you starting to have one a week now, Andrew. You said players.
Oh my God. Okay, all right. Well, he's one of the few players. There you go. If you want it, you need the Caucasian to come out of me. TreVeyon Henderson is a player that he took me off a track. What the hell? He's a player I figured was a difference maker. Matthew Golden is a guy that I wasn't superly impressed by. I had him kind of in that range with Luther Burden as a prospect. In fact, just pure raw prospect profile, I liked Luther Burden a little bit more. But the draft capital obviously was a little bit different for those two guys. You did have Matthew Golden go to a room where a little bit less competition. You're not battling with a Rome Odunze. You're not battling with a DJ Moore. And you get drafted in the first round. The Packers never draft first round wide receivers. They chose Golden. I get the narrative. And that's why it pushed him up my rankings a tiny bit. He's still a player, though, that I was drafting in that 112-ish range. I still think people should be taking first round quarterback Jackson Dart over Matthew Golden. I still think that people should still, at this point in time, be considering a guy like RJ Harvey over Matthew Golden. But there's definitely an argument here to Matthew Golden being an addition to this Green Bay Packers wide receiver room. And earlier this week, on Monday, we dropped a video with Garrett Price of Dynasty Nerds, and we were kind of going through and solving some of these confusing wide receiver rooms. We wanted to like look at some of these rooms that had the most murky outcomes and try and project like these long term. What would happen this year? What would happen long term? Who might lead this team in targets? Who might lead it in touchdowns? Who are the buys and sells of this team? And both Garrett and I felt like even though Matthew Golden has been added to this room, and even though the community is basically pointing to Matthew Golden and saying he's the number one guy, we like him, Garrett and I both felt like probably going to be some more of the same for the Green Bay Packers. It's probably going to be a mix of dudes. Jayden Reed is still talented. I like him a lot still. I know he's, the big thing about Jayden Reed is he's not getting on the football field, but when he's on the football field, he is one of the most efficient wide receivers in football. He just needs to get in those two wide receiver sets. You still have Romeo Doubs, who you said, he's going to be a factor some weeks. He led that team in targets last year still. You also have Tucker Kraft, who emerged and I think can be the touchdown leader on this team. And he's going to be a role here in this, or he's going to have a major role in this offense. So all of that is long to say I'm taking TreVeyon Henderson. I can understand why somebody would want Golden in the second. I know he says he's rebuilding, and you and I say don't buy the running backs in a rebuild. TreVeyon Henderson is super young. He's a rookie this year. It's fine, I think. And my caveat is with the scoring settings being that 0.25 points per first down, TreVeyon Henderson's going to chunk off some more first downs than Matthew Golden is, in my opinion. So you might get a little bit extra juice there in the scoring for the running back position. So it's a fair deal. I think you can make an argument either way. I just believe that TreVeyon Henderson is the difference maker, and Matthew Golden is a good, probably not great wide receiver.
I think that we have an agreement on that, sir.
All right, and now everybody can tell us how wrong we are about Golden, but that's fine.
Yeah.
10 team super flex, full PPR, no tight end premium, and start 11. We got Travis Kelce and Terrence Ferguson being received for George Kittle and Chig Okonkwo. Just a bunch of tight ends here. We never talked tight ends really, but how do we feel about this tight end trade in a non-tight end premium league? There's no tight end premium here.
It's okay. It's an okay trade. I mean, hell, just say it's even. I mean, two old tight ends, two young. I mean, I guess, I don't know, Okonkwo, he there's been rumors for years that he's going to be good. I mean, he never really seemed to reach the expectations that people think he was going to reach, Andrew.
Hey, it's not like I was saying he's going to be a superstar. I just thought there was potential there.
And then Ferguson, okay. I mean, I heard a couple good things about Ferguson, but all in all, I think this is an even trade. I mean, two old but productive tight ends, and two other guys.
Yeah, I mean, you simplified it very to the very bare minimum. The way that I would look at it is Kelce and Kittle. I'm taking Kittle, and there is a decent gap, I think, because of the age difference. There's a couple more years there for Kittle to be productive. He's also a guy that's probably still the number one target in his offense. With Brock Purdy. And we've seen him come off of a season last year where he was one of the highest scoring fantasy points per game tight ends in fantasy football. Kelce, obviously this is kind of the last hurrah. And then with Ferguson and Okonkwo, I prefer Ferguson, but not to the gap that I think there is between Kelce and Kittle. So because of that Kelce-Kittle gap, I'm just going to go with Kittle and Okonkwo. I think plugging Kittle in, I mean, here's the reality. It's not a tight end premium. You're going to start one tight end most likely every week. If I have Kittle on my team, he's the only guy that I'm thinking of starting. Okonkwo, you can play him on the bye. Kittle gets injured, you maybe have to make a trade and figure it out because you don't want to play Okonkwo every week, but I'm not worried about it. Kittle's a starting tight end, open, shut kind of case for me, Kittle and Okonkwo here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's an even trade, but I like Kittle more as a person because he's a closet Bears fan, so I'm going to lean towards Kittle because of that, and because, like you say, he's a couple years younger. I honestly, I mean, I guess it's a good time to throw this conversation there since you brought it up. You said that Kittle could be the number one target for San Francisco, right? I mean, I really do believe that we're going to see something out of that offense that we truly didn't expect this season. Something like a monster Ricky Pearsall season, or like just a super resurgent Brandon Aiyuk. I just have a gut feeling about that.
Super
I think
resurgence of Christian McCaffrey.
No, I don't see that one. But
all right, well, I do.
I don't see that one. I see the other two though. I think Kittle will still be Kittle. Kittle will still be do his thing. I just think we're gonna see something we don't expect. You think you're gonna see like a resurgent McCaffrey?
I do think that McCaffrey's going to be good. I talked about this on a video a little bit ago, but George Kittle actually had been receiving stem cell treatment down in Panama a couple years back. And he said it was recommended by one of his teammates, and George Kittle recommended the stem cells and some of the stuff to Christian McCaffrey. Now, Kittle was dealing with an Achilles injury. McCaffrey obviously dealing with the Achilles tendonitis. Kittle has not really had any issues with that since he went and got the stem cell treatment. So it does give me some positive hope. Like, we do have a case study for the Niners, a guy that's physical, a guy that takes a lot of, damage to the body. I think playing the position that he does, we know how physical George Kittle plays football. I think there's some positive traits here for Christian McCaffrey. And Christian McCaffrey is a player that's going to get a lot of his, make a lot of his money in the receiving game. It's not like he's really out here, running 29 times between the tackles. He might give you, 14, 15 carries between the tackles, and then he might catch 7 footballs. Like, that's going to help you a lot in fantasy. So I do think we can see the resurgence of Christian McCaffrey. I think them moving Jordan Mason in a trade, keeping Garendo, obviously a good thing for Garendo. I think that it was like, hey, we like what we have. But I also think it kind of shows like, hey, we do have confidence in McCaffrey because they had proven production with a guy behind him in Jordan Mason. I know people don't think Jordan Mason is great, but he was filling in just fine for Christian McCaffrey, and they said, hey, we probably don't need him next year. That's probably good for Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, okay, so when you say resurgent Christian McCaffrey, I'm thinking
an RB1.
Carolina Panthers. Yeah, Carolina Panthers, Christian McCaffrey, first season on the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey. Now, if we're talking about, he's a mid to low end running back run that we could depend on week in and week out. I can see that. When you say resurgent Christian McCaffrey, I'm thinking peak Christian McCaffrey. But if we're talking about
I think he's a guy that has top 10 potential this year, and I think the ceiling is top 3.
Okay, so you going there. Okay.
I think the ceiling is top 3. I don't think he can outscore Saquon. I'll give you top 5 ceiling because I don't know if he outscores Bijan. After that, I think we have a conversation. Gibbs. Yes.
All right, man. This is the second week in a row you did this now, man. We're gonna have to talk about I feel like I don't want to say you fading Genty. I don't want to say that, but there's been a couple of instances since last week where I tried to place Genty amongst the possible top running backs this season, and you kind of like threw up a little stop sign right there.
Yeah, is there any merit? I'm pumping the brakes. I'm pumping the brakes on Genty as a rookie. I think for me, when it comes to Genty as a dynasty asset, there's no question for me. It's Bijan and it's Gibbs, 1 and 2, however you want to order it. I might go Bijan over Gibbs right now just because you don't have to deal with David Montgomery in the backfield, even though Gibbs was really good down the stretch last year. And then after those two guys, it's Genty. It's not a question for me there. The thing is, as a rookie, people are treating Ashton Genty like he's going to walk in and be a top 3 guy as a rookie as well. And I just don't see that happening. If he does that, it's going to have to be on a Raiders team that takes a significant step forward. We don't see these running backs come in and be hyper productive for fantasy football unless they have massive touchdown upside, unless they have massive receiving upside. I think he might have some receiving upside, but the touchdown upside, how many touchdowns do we think that the Raiders are going to score over the course of the year? How many games are they going to win over the course of the year? I don't think it's going to be a ton. And they play in a really tough division with the Chargers and the Broncos and the Chiefs. And all 3 of those teams are probably going to beat the brakes off of them every time they see them. I'm just being honest. I don't see Genty being a guy that they can rely on. They're going to be playing from behind, and maybe that helps with the PPR upside. But then also you're getting quotes, which maybe we shouldn't read too much into them, out of Pete Carroll, but we're getting quotes from Pete Carroll saying, hey, you know me, I'm not going to just give the guy the full workload. Like, I'm going to have a couple guys mixed in here. If Pete Carroll plays around as a rookie where they're not, winning a lot of games, they don't have a lot of positive game scripts, they're not scoring a lot of touchdowns, and he's sprinkling in some bullshit with other players out here catching footballs, Genty's going to underperform and people are going to be very disappointed. He's a player right now that in best ball formats, he's being drafted as like the running back 4. I've been drafting team after team after team after team. I have 50 plus teams right now. Guess how many teams I've drafted Ashton Genty on? 0. I have 0 teams of Ashton Genty because he's being drafted as like the 7th guy off the board. When I'm on the board to make a selection in those drafts, it's, do I take Puka Nacua or Genty? Do I take Amon-Ra or Genty? Am I taking Jahmyr Gibbs or Genty? What am I doing here? I'm just taking those players that have been hyper productive in the past. I know we're hyper productive, and I don't have to gamble. If Genty's value comes down a little bit, I'm fine with that. I'm in. But I need him to be closer to the Devon Achane range than he is the Jahmyr Gibbs range. And he's right now in the Jahmyr Gibbs range. And that's for redraft and best ball only. Just 2025 as a rookie.
Andrew, when it comes to your comments in the comment section, when this video is posted, may God have mercy on your soul.
Everybody loves him. It is what it is. I'll tell you what, if, I don't know, we'll figure something out. If Genty's a top 3 running back this year, folks, like, obviously this will be on the receipts episode, but if he's a top 3 running back, man, I just don't see it happening this year. We'll see though. Let's move on to the next trade. I'm taking the Kittle side. You said you think it's fair.
Yeah, but I'll lean Kittle.
How the hell did we go from a tight end trade to a long Genty conversation?
That's how we do.
I don't know. Hopefully you guys wanted some Genty conversation there. Also, for the record, by the way, I haven't drafted much Brock Bowers, but I think that's just because I can't take tight end that high in a non-tight end premium format. But you got 12 teams, Superflex, full PPR, tight end premium, start 11. Team 1 needs a running back, so what they did was trade Najee Harris, Jayden Reed, 26th fourth-round pick. They get Breece Hall. We've been talking about Breece Hall as a potential buy low. He's a player who's had some positive and some negative press over the course of the offseason, and I think people are, a little bit uncertain as to what the future holds for Breece. But a trade like this, what do you think about this type of deal? And is the juice worth the squeeze here when you have a Reed and Najee on the other side?
I like Jayden Reed, but this is going too far. This is going too far. I'm taking the Breece Hall side. Najee Harris, who we both said people are like fading a little bit too much. That's fine. Jayden Reed, that's fine. We both like Jayden Reed, but Breece Hall's gonna be a running back 1, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna be a running back 1. Like, I understand if you are nervous and you want to move Breece Hall. I get it. But if you're going to move Breece Hall, get more back than, though he'll be productive, get more than the running back 2 for the Chargers and the wide receiver question mark for the Packers, since we don't even know what the pecking order of that wide receiver room is. And yeah, I'm taking Breece Hall in this, man. It's not really even like a huge ton of thought. That fourth doesn't even matter. I'm not putting a huge ton of thought into this. I'm taking the Breece Hall side.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I'm looking at this, like, think about putting this into my lineup every week. Najee Harris is a player that you're probably playing as an RB3 flex option most weeks. You're like, hey, Najee Harris is going to be involved, and hopefully he gets into the end zone. If he gets into the end zone this week, we like playing Najee Harris. If he doesn't get into the end zone, you're probably disappointed. Kind of J.K. Dobbins-ish of last year, I think, where Najee could be. And Hampton, I believe Hampton gets worked in over the course of the year. I don't think he just walks in. I know a lot of people loved the landing spot for Hampton. I don't think he walks in week 1 as the guy. To be honest, maybe a bold prediction for people. I don't know if it's going to be bold. I think Najee out-snap Hampton probably for the first month of football at least. So I wouldn't be shocked. But at the end of the day, like, Najee is a guy that long-term we're probably plugging him in as an RB3 / a flex. And I think that Jayden Reed is kind of this thing where we plug him into the lineup. We hope he gives us those wide receiver 2 spike weeks, but most of the time he's probably a wide receiver 3 or a flex play as well. So you get 2 players that you're probably debating for a flex spot most weeks or giving you flex spot production. And then Breece Hall, at the minimum, I know he's an RB2. I know at the minimum he's in a high-end RB2, but I think he can give you the RB1 numbers again. So just a production breakdown, it's a no-brainer for me to go Breece. You can find replacement pieces for Reed and Najee. Those are very easy to find. It's not easy to find Breece Hall replacements who are averaging, anywhere between 15 and 17 fantasy points per game in your running back slot. It's not as easy to find those guys. And the fourth, you said it. It's very unimportant. Don't care. Doesn't matter. Like, you could throw it in or leave it out, and it's not changing the way I feel about the deal. But give me Breece Hall here, man. I've been talking about buy low, buy low, buy low. This is definitely buy low. Breece Hall side by a mile.
Quick, because I know we're on a time crunch. Do you think it's any possibility that Omarion Hampton can get the Zach Charbonnet treatment for at least just this season? Got a productive vet ahead of him. No need to rush to give him the bulk of the carries.
I would say no, only because I think that Hampton is much more talented than Charbonnet. I think it's going to be harder to keep him off the field than it was to keep Charbonnet. And I also do believe that Kenneth Walker is a more talented player than Najee Harris. So you kind of get the less talented guy in front of him, the more talented guy behind him. It's going to be harder. But I would imagine this to be something like, at the minimum, it's probably something like the Rachaad White, Bucky Irving last year, where like week 7, you kind of felt like Bucky Irving took the backfield, but it was halfway through the year.
Yeah.
But the first month and a half of the season, we were like, damn, dude, Rachaad White just is getting all these touches over and over and over again. And then it just felt like it switched. And so I think that could happen for the Chargers. And Najee better hope he stays healthy, because if he doesn't stay healthy, it's wraps.
Yep.
Let's go to the next trade. Next trade that I have here is a 12-team super flex half PPR tight end premium and a start 10. You got RJ Harvey being acquired by team 1. They had to give up a 26 first round pick, Isaiah Davis, running back for the New York Jets. If I have to say running back for the New York Jets for people at home, you know it's not that great of a player. And then 26 fourth round pick. How do you feel about this one?
RJ Harvey.
RJ Harvey, or yeah, I guess really it's like, do you believe that Harvey is worth a first round pick next year? That's kind of what we're looking at.
I mean, yeah, I think it's yeah.
Okay, I'm
very
gonna give you.
I'm very surprised at this deal, honestly, because it's almost like you're taking a player you drafted this year, more than likely in the first round, if you're smart, and you're moving him for another shot at drafting another player next year in the first round. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to give you the opportunity here to kind of talk, because on our last episode, it was speculation, right? It was like, if J.K. Dobbins signs with this backfield. J.K. Dobbins did sign with this backfield. So how does your opinion of Harvey feel now that, you know, Dobbins is here?
I think RJ Harvey has a higher ceiling in the Broncos backfield because he's going to be the pass catcher of that offense. So in the half PPR league, you're going to get more production out of RJ Harvey. And there are people in the comments, or a person in the comments, saying that Dobbins is going to be a complete non-factor, and he don't know what he's talking about, because you're crazy if you think that Dobbins is going to be a complete factor zero in the Broncos backfield. If you think that you're not familiar with how Sean Payton runs his offense and what he likes to do with the running back position, and you're completely clueless about how J.K. Dobbins performed last season while he was healthy. They didn't fly J.K. Dobbins out to have an expensive steak dinner with him just to say, hey, we need a little depth in our running back room. Can you come sign with us? No. They have him in there because they don't want to overwork their rookie running back, who they're going to be using mainly in the passing game, and Dobbins will produce. He will produce, guys. You gotta just face reality. He's not there to just put his arm around Harvey and tell him about the secrets of the running back position in the NFL. He's there to actually play, and he's going to take some of those opportunities away. That's just fact.
Yeah, I mean, I always think it's funny when people in the comments are like, man, these guys are so wrong. These guys are blah, blah. We're giving opinions on trades, our opinions on trades. So apparently your opinions can be wrong, which is fine. Whatever. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, though, like, that is what makes Dynasty Dynasty. If everybody thought the same and we all were like, yep, obviously RJ Harvey is going to XYZ, nobody would ever trade. Nobody would have ADPs. Drafts would always be the same. There would be no fantasy football. The beauty of this is that everybody has to have the different opinion, and everybody has to have a different thought process for each guy to make this whole thing hum. So when people are like, you guys are idiots, or just anybody, even people in your league, when you like send a trade offer and they're like, why would I ever do that? I don't know. I just was shooting an offer because I thought it was fair, or I thought you might consider it. That's why you can counter and do what you want to do. It doesn't have to be so open and shut in Dynasty, or you know, just straight to the point. But that being said, I do think Harvey's still going to be very productive. I think Dobbins is going to be involved in this backfield. I don't think that Dobbins is going to be like this massive contributor or league winner or whatever. Like, I think last year's production is probably more than what he's even going to do with this Denver Broncos offense. So he probably takes a little bit of a step down. Harvey's going to be productive. I'm not going to be shocked. I said it last week. I think the bold takes episode that I did a few weeks ago, a lot of people kind of got worked up about it, but I feel like lost in the plot was, dude, that's a bold takes episode. Like, it's not supposed to be projections. It's not supposed to be what we think is happening. It's supposed to be crazy hot takes, bold takes type of shit. Like, that's the point of it. Could we see that happening in the 1 percentile outcome? Sure, that's a hot take. And I said to people that I thought Harvey was going to be a guy that could finish as an RB1 as a rookie. That's a hot take. That's a bold take. It's more likely that RJ Harvey, and I still believe right now, RJ Harvey is going to be an RB2 as a rookie. I think that's the floor for him. He's still going to be involved very heavily. But this deal, I'm with you. We don't need to talk about it too much longer. It's, do you want to spend the 2025 first round pick on RJ Harvey, or do you want to trade the 2025 first round pick for a 2026 first round pick? I'll just take RJ Harvey with the first round pick this year.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to this next trade. I think we only got a couple more, and I think we're good on time, dude. We got got 20-ish more minutes, so we're good. But 12 team, 1 quarterback, half PPR, no tight end premium. Puka Nacua is being received for Rashee Rice, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen. It's crazy to me that Keenan Allen still is kind of just floating out there in free agency.
Yeah.
But what do you think about this deal?
I like DJ Moore. I like Rashee Rice, but that's not enough for Puka Nacua. That's not enough for Puka Nacua. I mean, it's simple as that. Rashee Rice, he has wide receiver 1 upside, but he is coming off of an injury. There has been no statement or announcement in regards to his legal troubles either. DJ Moore, he potentially has multiple threats coming for his production. Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, if he ever gets on the field, Colston Loveland, if he ever gets on the field. And I think those reasons, like, we have question marks there, but even if they were we knew everything about everything. If we knew DJ Moore is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Bears, if we knew Rashee Rice is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Chiefs and no legal issues and everything with the health is good, I would still say that's not quite enough for Puka Nacua, who by all intents and purposes have not only is Puka Nacua already productive, they said now he's getting like personal tips from Devontae Adams and being taught new tricks about how to be even better than he already is. So yeah, man, I don't think it's enough for Puka, man. And Keelan Allen right now, he's on the team, so I can't really gauge like exactly what his ceiling would be. So
Yeah, I mean, one of the league's better up-and-coming route runners and wide receivers in Puka Nacua gets one of the greatest wide receiver route runners of all time to come over here and teach him some tricks there. It's going to be pretty damn good. I'm with you. I think Rashee Rice is very good. He flashed a lot of high-end potential last year. It's still enough. I guess it's not enough for me to confidently say that that is going to be the norm for Rashee Rice, although I do believe it's in the range of outcomes. And DJ Moore, to me, is a player that's probably a wide receiver too, and maybe an odd man out in that Bears wide receiver room in a year or 2 from now. That's just kind of the way that it feels for me. Keenan Allen, total wild card. I get getting him thrown in there because it feels like he's super cheap, but there's a couple places he could land where you're like, Keenan Allen can give me another year of production. But at the end of the day, Puka, to me, he's a top 5 wide receiver in this league. He's a top 5 dynasty wide receiver. He is going to be a top 5 producer. I just want Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I think it's straight.
But the value's not bad. The value's not bad.
Yeah, no, all those guys are guys that you would want on your team.
Yeah, but if you have the depth, I'm definitely willing to consolidate that down to get Puka. But let's go to this trade. We have a 12-team super flex, full PPR, half-point tight end premium, start 10. Caveat, this is a start 2 tight end league, so they start 2 tight ends in their starting lineup every week. Josh Allen and George Kittle are being received. What you gave up was Justin Jefferson, J.J. McCarthy, a 26th third-round pick, and a 26th fourth-round pick. Knowing that this is a tight end premium and you have to start 2 tight ends, going to give some value to George Kittle, but is Allen and Kittle the side that you want, or are you going Jefferson and McCarthy?
Most of the time in the trades like this, if the possible best player in fantasy football is coming to my team, that's the side I'm going to lead with. And that's what I think about Josh Allen. As much as, and as hard as it is for me to do this, and I know it got to be even harder for you, I don't know if you will be able to turn down this trade offer, but I'm gonna go with the Josh Allen side. Oh man, just saying it, I think I might change my pick, man. I was talking of Josh Allen, bro. This is difficult because what if? Here's a what if situation. What if JJ McCarthy? Obviously, he's not going to outproduce Josh Allen. I will never say that. But let's say that Josh Allen finishes as the quarterback 1, and JJ McCarthy sneaks it to like that 8 to 12 range, right? And then you get Justin Jefferson, and he finishes top 3 wide receiver, and so now you're getting the little fodder with the 3rd and the 4th. Even though Kittle is a tight end, 2 tight ends, and his Kittle there, it would be hard for me to turn down Justin Jefferson in this deal, man. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe that means it's even. I don't know, but
I mean, I hear the argument. Here's my opinion, though. I think when you look at this and you want to try and break it down like from a startup standpoint, Josh Allen's going to go above Justin Jefferson in a startup. Josh Allen's the 101, most likely, in these startups. Yeah. So you take Jefferson and the 3rd and the 4th, and you probably still need to take a little bit extra out of it just to move up to the 101 to draft Josh Allen. So then it's Kittle and McCarthy is really the way that I'm looking at it. In a normal 12-team super flex without 2 starting tight ends, without the tight end premium, you should definitely be going JJ McCarthy. I think JJ McCarthy has the upside. I think it's closer to even in this type of format where you have those 2 starting tight ends, you have the tight end premium. Even though Kittle's older, he's going to be super valuable because when, everybody else is starting combinations of Pat Freiermuth and Chigakonkwo, and you're throwing out George Kittle and Jake Ferguson, you're going to have a massive benefit against those other teams. So I understand why you would want Justin Jefferson. And I understand the upside of JJ McCarthy. Obviously, guys, I understand the upside of JJ McCarthy here. I've been talking about it for a year, it feels like. Josh Allen and George Kittle just feel like bona fide superstar type of production players in this type of format specifically. You can't turn that down. Those are the best 2 players in the deal for this format. Well, let me just rephrase that. Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson are the best players in the deal, but Josh Allen gets the edge over Jefferson. Kittle's boosted because of the format. I love the Vikings side. I hope that duo does wonders. That stack does wonders for fantasy football teams. But Josh Allen's Josh Allen. I'm taking Josh Allen and Kittle.
Yeah, man. This is a very, the more I spoke, the more difficult like this deal became to
you could argue either way, but
yeah.
Give me Allen and Kittle. It's just so hard to see Justin Jefferson and be like, I don't want Justin Jefferson on my team. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that's hard, I think.
And then I think it's hard too because it's like, I feel like it's a 12-team league and it starts 2 tight ends. I mean, are there even that many tight ends that are productive in the league to... Bro,
you're going 24 tight ends deep. That's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Let's just for shits and giggles, I'm about to pull up because we have a tight end premium league that's a half-point tight end premium. So let's just look at the tight end 24 last year. How is somebody in your league is being forced to start Chigakonkwo every single week? Somebody in your league, actually, wait, that's ADP. That's not last year. Hold on. Let me go look at that again. Somebody in your league is being forced to play Noah Fant every single week. He was the tight end 24. You feel good playing Noah Fant last year?
Well, tell me this. Who's the tight end 36?
Jordan Akins.
So one game a week during the bye week, you probably got to play Jordan Akins
or
in
Tommy
your starting
Tremble.
line, or Tommy Tremble in your starting lineup. I'll be damned.
And now you see why putting Kittle in your lineup is going to just destroy your opponent in a way. Yeah, that's not fun. God damn, we got people in our leagues wanting to take the tight end position and turn it into a wide receiver tight end flex, and we got people out here playing 2 starting tight ends. That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I would never, by the way, take out that tight end position for the flex. I still think there is value in the tight end position, but that's insane. 2 starting tight ends. Let's go to this trade. I think there's 1 or 2 left. There's 2 left. This one is a 12-team super flex, full PPR, no tight end premium, and a start 9. Matthew Stafford, Chuba Hubbard, and Bashal Tutin are being received for Cedric Tillman, Dallas Goedert, Shador Sanders, and a 27-second. How do you feel about this deal?
Easily taking the Matthew Stafford, Chuba Hubbard, and Bashal Tutin side. Like, I literally don't care about anything on the other side. I literally don't care about any of them. I mean, I guess if I had to care about something, it would be like the 27-second, but I don't really care about Dallas Goedert, Cedric Tillman. I don't care about him. I don't care about anything that has anything to do with the Cleveland Browns. Shador Sanders, I don't know if he's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th quarterback on that team on the depth chart. Don't care about him. But I do like the 27 draft class, so I guess that's the most valuable thing to me on that side. On the other side, you still have a quarterback that you could start as a QB2 or start in the bye week, and you got a running back who you could at least plug in and minimum as running back 2, and you're getting Bashal Tutin, who very well could take over the backfield in Jacksonville. So that's just the runaway side to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going that side as well. I think Matthew Stafford's one of the most undervalued, disrespected fantasy quarterbacks in the league right now. And folks, he just got Devontae Adams added to this offense. Like, the ceiling is going to be sky high for Stafford still. I think he can go out. You said a quarterback too. Would you be shocked if Matthew Stafford flirts with these low-end QB1 numbers all year?
I would be, just because last year just seemed so disastrous because he was so hurt.
Yes, but Puka was hurt and Cooper Kupp was hurt and all of these other guys were hurt.
Yeah.
I think that there's a narrative there that wasn't really anybody's fault. If everybody's healthy here, Stafford's healthy, Adams is healthy, Puka's healthy, I would not be shocked to see him put up top 12 numbers. As far as Chuba Hubbard goes, should have a really good year again this year. I'm not really worried about anybody in that backfield. They add Rico Dowdle, but Rico Dowdle feels like a complimentary piece, not a guy that's going to come in and demand a lot of run. Cedric Tillman, on that side, an interesting piece. I think a better best ball piece than he is a dynasty asset. I don't really know what's going to be going on with the quarterback room. Like you said, who can we trust? Who's going to throw the football? What is the offense going to look like? I have no damn clue. Sanders and Tootin, I'll be real. Sanders went 209. Tootin went 302. I think in my post-draft rankings, I would have had that swapped. I think I would have went Tootin over Sanders in my draft rankings, but I know everybody got attached to the name appeal of Shador. And then the 27-second fine, I'm not even acknowledging Dallas Goedert. I feel like he's burnt toast at this point in time. It just doesn't feel like he's even worth a damn. I guess he's better than plugging in Jordan Akins into your lineup.
Akins, yeah, the 2 tight end league. Yeah.
Goedert might be the GOAT in 2 tight end leagues, but yeah, man, I think when it's all said and done, look, it's the difference that you're getting from Hubbard and Stafford from points in your lineup this year that just makes me want to go with that side. Nobody on the right side is going to give you the points that Hubbard is giving you. Nobody on the right side is going to give you the points that Stafford is giving you. Those are the 2 best players in the deal. And you could argue that the 3rd best player in the deal, I guess the 3rd best player in the deal is probably the 27-second, but just give me Stafford and Hubbard.
Yep, I agree. I mean, pretty open and shut to me.
All right. And let's go to okay, actually, I need to ask this question because this happens too often. Every time we bring up Matthew Stafford, every time we talk Matthew Stafford, people say, I look like Matthew Stafford. What the hell about this do I look like, bro?
He got a helmet on, bro. Like, like y'all making the same face right now, though.
God damn it. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on. 12-team Superflex, full PPR, tight end premium, start 10. Team number 1 deep at running back is the context that we got. So because they're deep at running back, they traded away Kyren Williams and down-tiered him, as well as Josh Downs, Will Howard, and a 26 4th-round pick for Josh Jacobs, Jordan Addison, and a 26 1st-round pick. So, War, you're looking at this deal right here. What are you thinking?
I'm going to be completely honest, man. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that they think Josh Jacobs is going to have a huge season this year. So, I mean, I'm not even necessarily sure that Kyren Williams down to Josh Jacobs is like an actual like down tier like that. And then, Addison, Josh Downs, we know how we feel. Man, like, why do I feel like you've low-key, like, been covertly, like, making me, like, have a tinkling of a Vikings fan? Because, like, I feel like I'm always on here talking good about the Vikings. But you know what it is? It's not that I'm a Vikings fan. I've always respected the Vikings, even though, like, I like them a hell of a lot more than the Lions and the Packers because I like Randy Moss and Dante Culpepper. But anyway, that's besides the point because that's just my segue to saying how much I like Jordan Addison, Caleb's former teammate.
Fair. He just feels disrespected in the market, I think.
Yes.
I don't know. It's hard not to like the assets. I know it's not sexy because, and maybe it's mainly because the Minnesota Vikings are not like this big market team. If you want to like reference this to like, you know, NBA and things like that, like it's not a big market team. The reason why people are saying the NBA finals is boring is because we have 2 small market basketball teams. Like the Minnesota Vikings are a small market football team. And so they're not super exciting, but they give you a ton of points in your fantasy football lineups and the coaching is good. The offense is high powered. Like there's a lot to like about them, but it just feels like they're all undervalued because they're small market and not as popular.
Yeah, that's probably it. But in terms of this trade too, dude, if I look at Kyren and Josh Jacobs as like kind of similar tier, not necessarily a down tier, I have Jordan Addison above Josh Downs. That means that I'm looking at a 26 first for Will Howard in the 4th. So like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no way you can really cut it to where I'm not taking Jacobs Addison in the 1st. But if I were to try and make the argument, it would be like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I think Kyren and Jacobs are close enough. I prefer Kyren personally, but I think that they're close. Yeah. Downs is a player that I think I'm rising on. The community's rising on. I think he's the most attractive wide receiver option there in Indianapolis. Will Howard in a 4th. Those are dart throw guys. I hope Will Howard maybe gets a shot for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but with Rodgers there, if they're bad, they might go draft a 1st-round quarterback next year. Like that just might be the way that it goes for Howard, unfortunately. And you're getting a 1st-round pick somehow thrown into the Addison side and the Jacobs side. You were deep at running back. I don't feel like you really down-tiered and you somehow added the better wide receiver player and a 1st-round pick. So, yeah, this is a home run, knocked it out of the park. I'm taking the Jacobs Addison in the 1st side.
Yep.
All right, and that is the last trade here in today's episode. So 10 trades that were submitted into our free Discord. That Discord is linked in the description. We do this every single weekend. If you haven't submitted trades in there before, like I said, it's free to join, so make sure you go into the link in the description. Go to the Dynasty Trade Review channel, submit those Dynasty trades. Make sure you got a nice clean screenshot. some context. Those give you better chances of them being pulled. And I'll be honest, folks, there was a couple good trades in there that I didn't pull this week, but it had Garrett Wilson or it had Jackson Smith and Jigba, and we've been talking about those dudes for weeks and weeks and weeks. I needed some new names to talk about. So if you have some fresh names, throw those in there as well. If you like this content, hit the like button. It is the best free way to show this channel some support. Also, make sure you are subscribed to our channel. Gonna keep growing this thing and pushing this thing over the course of the next few months as the season approaches. And last but not least, War, if they want some additional content from you, I've noticed you've been throwing some stuff on TikTok and things lately. Where can they find you at?
I'm back in the lab, bro. I got over I was mad. Honestly, I was pissed off at WWE, so I said I'm taking a break. But now, like that time has passed. I'm back in the lab. I think I'm gonna actually drop a new podcast episode of the Crimson Mass Show this weekend, and I actually might be announcing a new project next week. Once I'm gonna talk to Andrew off air once he gets done doing all his duties today. Because there's some stuff that I want to do, but I want to pick his brains on it. But if you want to check out some wrestling content, it's only going to keep going. The Crimson Mass Pro Wrestling is the YouTube channel. You go ahead now and also check out the Crimson Mass Show YouTube channel. That's where we put our long form content and actual me giving my opinions based more than highlights like on the Crimson Mass Pro Wrestling. And yeah, I got some things coming up, y'all. Check us out.
Hell yeah. Should be fun. Make sure to go check it out if you're a fan of pro wrestling. And if, like I said, if you're not subscribed here and you're a fan of Dynasty Fantasy Football, you better be subscribed after the end of this episode. We'll see you guys in the comment section probably at the end of this telling us I'm wrong about Genty and he's wrong about XYZ. But we love you. We'll see you on the next one.
We love you.
Till then, peace out.